Ash and debris is all that's left behind on Laclede's Landing tonight after the city of St. Louis booted the homeless out of this area. The city tells us they have made resources available for them. But Gabriela Vidal spoke to an advocate who says dozens of people are still in dire straits. Gabby?
Yeah, Corey and Sam, obviously a lot different than what we saw this time last week with no tents in the area. And it's kind of hard to do so when the entire area is sectioned off with fencing, effort for the city to keep that port intact in the wake of decommissioning this homeless encampment. But for outreach providers who've been working directly with some of those who are unhoused in the community when this was an encampment, they say that their concerns are that people are now scattered to other parts of the St. Louis area.
If evictions got housing, these people would be housed.
Days after the city's efforts to clear out camps along Laclede's Landing's riverfront, advocates for the unhoused population in St. Louis say many who were displaced from the encampment still haven't received help.
Nearly everyone from the camp has reached out that we had strong relationships with. We think we've accounted for 28 people that are not in shelter, not in hotels. There is no housing.
Instead, Audra Yeomans with St. Louis Winter Outreach says unhoused residents have moved across the river or reestablished their campsite within a 2-mile radius of Laclede's Landing.
They're either left or it wasn't what they were promised, and then some people went into those shelter spots that got hotels, and their checkout day was this morning and there was no follow-up. From what we can account for, maybe 12, 13, less than 15 absolutely got put into shelter spaces.
According to a city spokesperson, outreach workers with the Department of Human Services are aware of other encampment locations in the city and continue to do outreach in those spots, but say these sites are not a result of decommissioning the site on the landing.
Absent a reasonable supply of affordable housing, we'll probably see more encampments.
Adam Pearson is the Chief Operating Officer of Peter and Paul Community Services, who've been providing housing and support services to those experiencing homelessness for over 40 years. They assisted with providing emergency housing resources to a couple of people who were recently evicted.
We have more demand for housing than we do have supply in the area, and I think this is just kind of a systemic issue in St. Louis. If we are able to provide more supportive housing, more affordable housing, permanent supportive housing, I think we would see a decrease in some of the encampment areas. But I think also we have to pair that with some of the supportive services that are needed.
Without greater investment into permanent supportive housing that also tackles job placement, mental health, and addiction, people like Yeomans worry they'll continue to see campsites like this come down.
Now it's just starting over from square one again of people are displaced, they're not connected with the community they were connected with before, and it's cold outside. We're going back, we're resupplying blankets, we're giving new tents and things like that. This didn't solve anything.
A city spokesperson is looking into claims and concerns that some of these individuals who are experiencing homelessness here did not actually receive resources. They say that the city and the Department of Human Services will actually be checking in with providers to make sure those that accepted and were offered resources don't slip through the cracks. But they don't believe that 28 individuals who had accepted ended up not taking those services after all. But we will continue to monitor this as we learn more information about where they've gone and what services were provided. Reporting live in the riverfront, Gabriela Vidal, News 4.